Yeah, my cameras are going nuts.
Yeah.
Everything's setting off.
Yeah, I was setting all my motion cameras off.
Okay, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the regular meeting to order. Roll call.
Barlow.
Here.
Brem.
Here.
McLean. Here. Nesbitt.
Here.
Rezegi.
Here.
Rocha.
Here.
Stenzel Barton.
Here.
Tassava.
Here. Please rise for the pledge. Remove that beautiful hat. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Everybody get a chance to look at the agenda. I hear a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Who's down? Who's it? John?
Yep.
Motion by Rocha, second by McLean. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Also in your packet, you have the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 regular meeting. Any additions or corrections?
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
Motion by Rezegi, supported by McLean. To approve the minutes of January 13th, 2025 regular meeting. Any questions or anything? Roll call.
Brem.
Yes.
McLean. Yes. Nesbitt.
Yes.
Rezegi.
Yes.
Rocha.
Yes.
Stenzel Barton.
Yes.
Barlow.
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. We have no public hearings. Public comment. Anybody in the public would like to get up and talk? Tell us who you are, if you're a citizen of Hastings, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
I'm hard of hearing, so if I miss something, you'll have to excuse me. Don't start the clock yet, because I gotta get my phone cranked up here.
You're standing there, the clock started. Tell us who you are, and if you're a citizen of Hastings.
Oh, yeah, I'm Michael Lyons, and I live in Hastings. I'm a homeowner in Hastings. I would like to speak about my concerns of adding fluoride to the Hastings City water supply. There have been many studies done by many countries trying to determine whether adding fluoride is safe and effective. Where have we heard that before? Some say it is safe and some say it is not. Some say that adding fluoride reduces dental cavities by 25%. Some say by 10%. Some say that adding fluoride causes many health hazards, including kidney disease, thyroid disease, bone cancer, bone deformity, calcified ligaments, joint pain, calcified pineal gland, etc. Keep in mind that we not only drink the water, we bathe in it. We can get all the fluoride we need or want in fluoridated toothpaste, which is said to be 2,000 times stronger than fluoridated drinking water. There is a warning on fluoridated toothpaste that if you were to swallow the toothpaste, you should contact a poison control center. Children are advised to use only a pea-sized amount on their toothbrush. It is claimed that fluoride lowers the IQ of children 4 to 9 points. There was a case in Colorado where horses were forced to drink fluoridated city water. and it killed and maimed the horses, and the mares aborted their foals. The only advantage claimed that we know of for consuming fluoride is to prevent dental cavities. However, the health hazards claimed are many. The motto of the healthcare community is do no harm. I believe the answer is simple. Don't put fluoride in the water supply. Whoops. Lost the rest of it. I can finish up. I'd like to
Your
say I've
time's
been
up,
on
Mike.
fluoridated water for most of my life. My father was born in 1914 and had very little exposure to fluoride in the water. And they started putting it in the water in 1945 in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So he had very little exposure. I had a lot of exposure to fluoride. One day when he was about 50 or 60 years old, we got in a conversation about fillings. I said, anyway.
Mike, time's up.
Time's up.
Thank you.
Anyway, I think the people of Hastings deserve the right to what they consume, what they choose to consume, put into their body.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nice not to be buzzing, huh? Okay, Dave Hatfield's not here tonight. Presentation from John Sporer, YMCA CEO and Executive Director. Welcome, John.
Thank you. It's too bad Dave wasn't here. He was my Rotary sponsor when I came to Hastings 9 years ago. Would have been good to see him. Thank you for the time this evening. It's very nice to meet Linda over email. The time has come up where we're here to renew the recreation contract between the YMCA and the City of Hastings. This contract predates my time. Like I said, I've been here 9 years. It's been a great partnership through different board members, different council members, different city staff. But I think what's remained consistent is the quality of programs we're delivering for youth, the support that we have from the community in a lot of different areas. And I guess I would just want to preemptively say thank you for that commitment through all the time that I've been here. And hopefully the news you hear this evening will convince you guys to continue that relationship. The YMCA was founded in 1914 and Camp Algonquin was founded in 1946. So we are coming up on 111 years and 8 years of summer camp. It's one of the longest standing nonprofit entities in Berry County, and throughout the years the thousands of families that we've impacted has been significant. Without going into too much of a history or what's been going on day to day, I will say right now between our Tiny Tots all the way up to 6th grade basketball program, we have over 200 registrations right now this season. We continue to deliver 75 meals a day through our Y on the Fly program, where we take our vehicles out and about in the community and provide a after-school meal and snack and some physical activity for the children. We've signed up over 360 people for summer camp 2025, which is about 3/4 full. And we are continuing renovations on our new building out there on Iroquois Trail. In May of 23, we purchased the county building. Thought we would be in a little bit sooner, but encountered some renovation hurdles. And we've now raised some money and we've started construction, and we plan that building to be open for occupancy in June of 25 if all goes well on our construction schedule. The plan for that building is to move our offices of sports, recreation, outreach, and childcare to that building, separating Camp Algonquin, allowing for more space to enroll more campers, both in day camp and overnight camp, and also provide more meals and more enrichment for the community from that new building. Happy to entertain any questions. I know there's a lot of folks that might be kind of curious about other things going on at the Y, and I'm not sure where you'd like me to go, other than I love my job and I love this community, and I'm happy to have the partnership.
Any questions? John, you have any questions? Either John?
Yeah, actually, I do. So looking through kind of the recreational agreements, you provide a lot of programs for a lot of children, a lot of things that are going on, youth activities, adult activities, so on and so forth. And you did touch on a few of those activities as far as the participation. Can you give us a little bit more of some of the other activities, the adult activities? Family Tour, I know the turkey trot I actually participated in that. It almost died because I'm not a runner, but I did it anyway. But could you give us a little bit more about how that's infecting and actually how that's growing and how the growth that the activities YMCA is doing?
Yep, absolutely. So what I mentioned now, kind of our winter season, coming up in the spring, we'll have youth soccer. We continue to have adult fitness classes out at the Commission on Aging. We are doing pop-up classes at the YMCA for kind of non-athletic activities. We have a hair braiding class, a safe sitter class. As we roll into spring and summer again, we do tennis up here with the high school. We do golf. We do some volleyball clinics. In the fall, we have flag football. We also try to get creative, like I said, in some of those non-athletic activities between art, cooking, music, dance. It's a pretty good range, and we have a lot of flexibility based on an idea that someone in the community might have, and a group of people, and someone who might be a specialized instructor. We are pretty solid in terms of our administration and our managing of the programs, but it's always nice to have those parent volunteers. They are really the bread and butter of keeping our soccer teams and our basketball teams and other things ongoing through the year.
It's just good to see that involvement, and it's, to see some of these programs. I know I wish I had some of these programs growing up. I didn't have anything like that, so it's nice to see that there's that community that what we give you as far as this is concerned actually does involve and touches not only just the children but the adults in the community too, because I know there's a lot of adults for the co-ed softball, church softball, and things like that that are take a lot of advantage of some of these programs.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
John Rizky.
No questions at this time.
Jackie?
No, sir.
Bill? Terry? Norman? Are you, thing you didn't mention, you're helping coordinate Hammond Hills disc golf?
That's another strong partnership we have. A staff member of the YMCA sits on the Parks and Rec Committee for the town. We've also partnered on some grant opportunities to expand that course, and it sounds like that's part of the future development, which we'd like to stay close to. We're happy to be a nonprofit partner to anchor letters of recommendation or grant opportunities as well.
Okay, thanks, John.
Absolutely.
We also have Erin Quada here. She's Youth Services Librarian for Hastings Public Library. She wants to host a Touch a Truck event for the summer reading program on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 in parking lot number 3. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion there, Mr. Mayor.
Support.
Okay, motion by Stunzel-Barton, supported by Rizky. Would you like to get up there and tell us what your plans are, Erin?
Hi, it's nice to see you all again. So for a Touch a Truck event, for those that don't know or may not know, is you bring in a variety of trucks. It can be emergency response vehicles, construction. I have a whole list of people to contact to try and just bring out variety out. The goal is to just get people to come out and be exposed to vehicles in our community and get up close and learn about them, where you might not always get a chance to do that. It's great for families of all ages. They're usually popular. I've had them at other places where I've been employed, and so this is part of the summer reading. So our goal is to just get people out and have things for families to do. So.
Any questions? Go ahead, John.
I used to be pretty much involved with the one that they had in Martin and Kalamazoo for years.
Okay.
Is it pretty much the same type of thing?
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, roll call. Let me repeat the motion first. We have a request. The motion is to approve the request from Aaron Quada, Youth Services Librarian for Hastings Public Library, to host a Touch a Truck event for summer reading program on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025 in parking lot number 3. Roll call.
McLean,
Yes.
Nesbit,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Rocha,
Yes.
Stenzel Barton,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Thank you. Next item, motion to hold a council workshop on February 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. to discuss council goals and upcoming goals and objectives for the upcoming fiscal year. Do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Support.
Motion by McLean, supported by Nesbit, to hold a council workshop on February 10th, 2025 at 6 p.m. to discuss council goals for the upcoming fiscal year. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. It's a ringer there. Okay, next item for business, deliberation and selection of third ward council member. In front of you, you all have a ballot. It has 2 names on it, both people that are interviewed tonight, and so what I want you to do is I want you to mark the one that you would like to appoint to be third ward council member, then sign your name.
How are you gonna gather those up? Are you gonna?
Clerk is gonna come get them, and she's gonna tally up the results.
Took me a while to sign my name.
Come on.
I think I can. Okay. Sure is.
Oh, I'm trying to read signatures. All right. So, Ann DeVroy has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 votes from Councilmember Rezegi, McLean, Tassava, Brem, Stencil Barton.
Hey, there's 31 letters there.
Okay. And Nesbit. Charles Hertzler has 2 votes from Rocha, I think.
It looks like a scribble, but.
Okay, and, Norm. I was gonna say, who haven't I read? So.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to confirm the vote for Ann DeVroy.
Make that motion. I'll support.
Motion by Brem, supported by McLean, to confirm Ann DeVroy as the next third ward council member. Motion was made, roll call.
Nesbit,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Rocha,
Yes.
Stenzel Barton,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Congratulations. Item B, motion to approve the purchase of 11 sets of Windland protective clothing for Axis, from Axis and Irons as part of the WFC Volunteer Fire Capacity Grant from the DNR for the total cost of $10,670.73. Do I hear a motion?
So moved. I'll support.
Motion by Nesbitt, supported by Brem, to approve the purchase of 11 sets of wildland protective clothing from Axis and Irons as part of the VFC Volunteer Fire Capacity Grant for the DNR for a total cost of $10,670.73. Questions?
Now that is the grant, that once that grant is approved, we'll get half that, correct? 5,000.
Correct.
That's, so I'll double check that.
That's correct.
Go ahead, Terry.
Briefly, what is exactly a deluxe full set?
So there's a couple of different types of wildland gear available to us. We stepped it up by $100 a set, but that allows the turnout gear can also be used for vehicle extrication as well. So it's puncture proof, and it's a lighter weight gear that's used primarily for wildland or grass firefighting. We can also use it for extrication in hot weather, so we don't have the heavy turnout gear on.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion to approve the purchase of 11 sets of wildland protective clothing from Axis and Irons as part of the VFC Volunteer Fire Capacity Grant for DNR for the total cost of $10,670.73. Roll call.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Rocha,
Yes.
Stenzel Barton,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Nesbitt,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Item C, motion to approve the 2-year recreational agreement with the YMCA for the total sum of $70,000. Do I hear that motion?
Moved. Support.
Okay, motion by Nesbitt, supported by McLean, to approve the 2-year recreational agreement with the YMCA for the total sum of $70,000. Questions?
I have one.
Go ahead.
So in part 3 of the agreement, the first $17,500 is said to be payable on January 15th. Does that suggest that it's already been paid or will be paid like immediately after this meeting?
It has not been paid, and it will be paid after this new contract is signed.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Is this the same amount we usually always do?
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, a motion was made to approve the 2-year recreational agreement with YMCA for the total sum of $70,000. A motion was made by Nesbitt, supported by McLean. No further comments. Roll call.
Rocha,
Yes.
Stenzel Barton,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Nesbitt,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Item D, entertain a motion to approve resolution 2025-01 to enter into agreement with MDOT for surface transportation improvements on East State Street.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Support.
Okay, motion by who? Barlow.
Supported by Brem.
Questions?
The only question I have, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to sure exactly what type of construction that is. I did read between the streets that it's gonna be in, but I don't know road construction ways, and I just wanna be informed of exactly what it says. I was reading through it, but for me, I'm not a road construction guy, so I don't understand exactly. Is it, are we doing full surface replacement? Are we taking it all out and replacing it? Are we just doing little potholes? And I don't understand, so I just wanted to make sure that.
We got a guy right here that's gonna tell you what they're gonna
Perfect.
do up there. Travis?
So it's about 1,000 feet of full-depth pavement reconstruction. We're gonna save most of the curb and gutter. The sidewalk ramps will be replaced, some sidewalk sections that are not good, and some curb and gutter, but mainly it's the pavement.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's what I need. Again, that's beyond my purview, but that's why we have experts like you.
Well, and it's a grant through, the federal grant, actually.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be privileged enough to only pay, compared to the total cost.
Right.
This is what we try to do when we find grants like this, if we can save a lot of money by doing it,
Amen.
Was there a dollar figure we had to approve on this?
It says what the city's amount is estimated to be, but we have to pay the balance. So I don't see.
I think we did.
Yeah, 114,000 is what our part is estimated to be.
Okay, but we don't have to, it seems to me like we've already approved that when we applied for the grant, that we're gonna pay up to so much money. Wasn't that part of the stipulation we applied or not?
No,
Okay.
it kind of works the opposite way. We try to maximize the grant funds, and then depending on the project, we pay the rest. There's a minimum amount that we have to contribute. We usually go above that.
Well, like I said, again, should we approve that amount of money and the resolution?
It is unlikely to be exactly that amount of money.
So we'll just approve the resolution.
Yes,
Then we'll come
to
back
enter
to
the
us.
contract with MDOT,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so the motion was made by Barlow, supported by Brem, to approve resolution 2025-01 to enter into an agreement with MDOT for service transportation improvements on East State Street. Any further questions?
I just want to point out one more thing, Mr. Mayor. Anything that is beyond what, any other project costs that go beyond what that grant is we have to incur the cost. So I just want everybody to be aware of that if it goes to, say, $1 million in the costs, we'll have to bite that one.
I can't
I mean, I'm
see
just,
that.
I just, well,
Sometimes there is, maybe we'll get up there, we sign this agreement with them, we know we're gonna have to pay $100,000, now all of a sudden, we have more sidewalk that we wanna replace, well, we're gonna have to foot the bill on that. But the grant is for a certain amount of money, and anything above that, the city has to pay, so we won't know that till the project's let out anyhow.
Yeah, it hasn't been bid out yet, and if it's more than a certain percentage above the estimate, you can change the scope or make other modifications to be more limiting. I can't remember what the percentage is. Do you remember, Travis?
No.
It's, I don't know, 20% or something like that, I don't.
Probably.
But, yeah, it's not like we're gonna get stuck with a substantial bill that we didn't know about. We'll at least know what the bid cost is ahead of time and be able to know that going into it.
thank you.
But at this point, we just need to sign the contract with MDOT, because they take a lot of the reins in terms of the bidding process and managing the grant.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking that question. Roll call.
Stenzel Barton,
Yes.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Nesbit,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Rocha,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. Item 11, purchasing ordinance amendment consideration.
So our purchasing ordinance is very old. It hasn't been amended since it was adopted in 1994. So, it's certainly time for a refresh, especially with the new software that we're purchasing. We have to set it up so that when purchases are made that fit certain criteria, it kind of directs the invoices through a certain procedure. So I wanted to look at this before we implemented that. My primary concerns initially were with the department head purchasing threshold being only $300. That's very small and creates undue paperwork burden to have to review all of those purchases. So my recommendation is to increase that to at least $1,000. $1,500 would be fine too. All of our department heads are perfectly capable of making those decisions and managing those funds appropriately. So that was one of my concerns. The other is that the purchasing ordinance just doesn't flow very well. There's certain parts of it that are, especially when it comes to sealed bids or purchases over $5,000. Some of it's in a certain paragraph and then some of it's somewhere else, and it's just makes it a little bit difficult to follow. So I wanted that to be a bit easier. So Jessica was kind enough to put together a draft that's been included. There's a couple things we're still ironing out there, but subsequent to that, some other things I wanted to bring to your attention for your discussion and input was one of them being the threshold for sealed bids. So currently, anything that's $5,000 or more, the ordinance says that we should seek sealed bids for that unless it's waived by council. We very rarely do sealed bids for something that low. We usually just get quotes, which is what we're required to do for anything that's under $5,000, is to get 3 quotes for that. The bidding process is pretty involved. It's difficult to get contractors to go through that process for an amount of money that's small. I checked with some other communities who happen to be looking at their purchasing ordinances at the same time, and ours is on the far small end of other communities in terms of what it is that the minimum threshold is for a sealed bid. So I think $15,000 to $20,000 is much more reasonable and in line with what other communities have as their practice. In addition to that, sorry, I'm distracted by the conversation in the hallway. In addition to that, you may or may not want to consider if purchases over $5,000 is still the limit that you want to be approved by council. $5,000 when this ordinance was put in place is over $10,000 today. So times have changed. I don't really have a preference about that. It's just whatever's you guys are comfortable with. I also was curious if you wanted to include language about having locally sourced items as a preference. Some communities do. If there's multiple bids, one of them's maybe local, but it's a little bit higher. If it's within a certain percentage of the other, they still prefer that. Currently, it says that if we have 2 bids that are exactly the same, then we go with the local one. That never happens. We never have 2 bids that are exactly the same. So that's something you may want to consider or not. Either way, we can incorporate it or not. So those were the things that I wanted to specifically discuss and address today so that we can polish up the draft and get something to you for a first reading.
Anybody have any questions? Bill, any questions or comments on purchasing ordinance?
I would make the recommendation that we go with the $15,000 spending limit for sealed bids on that requirement. Other than that, I'm in support of the suggestions made.
Terry,
I too am in support. If I had to get, as a department head, if I had to get approval for everything over $300, I couldn't buy a gallon of alcohol.
Anything.
And nothing for a chemist, you know. So, and I read through all of them. The only thing that brought my attention was if one of the local bids was within 5% of, because I'm all for supporting Hastings, even if it is a few pennies more than 5%, did not seem unreasonable to me. And then I read your 2%, it's like, well, that's pretty cheap, but that was just me. That was where I stood. I really liked what I read.
Any thoughts, Norman?
I would be in support of the 15,000, and of course the local bid, and 5% would be reasonable.
Okay.
Gordon?
Yeah, I agree. The 1,000 is pretty low of a threshold, and I actually wouldn't mind seeing a 20,000 opposed to 15 for the sealed bids. I mean, as you mentioned, the sealed bid process is pretty labor intensive, and I mean, costing to even submit a bid is gonna bring down competition, I would think.
Jackie, any comments?
Yes, I do have a couple comments. I am in support of all of these items that you have proposed. However, I would still prefer that purchases over 5,000 be approved by the council. So that's my only thought.
John?
I am.
Rizigi?
I'm supportive, in support of bringing the 300 up to $1,000 at minimum. That is a trust issue anyway, and the $15,000 is fine as well. The $5,000 up to approximately $10,000 or $12,000, I couldn't see a problem with that either. But I would like to see that most purchases and that type of thing be done locally, and including the thing that Terry said with the 5%. I would like to see 5% done too, but that's my opinion.
I would agree with the 5% local. I think, you know, we as a council, we talk about progress with the new and treasuring the old, and I think part of that community build in the city is ensuring that our local businesses get that kind of additional boost and help, and I think that's exactly what the city needs and the people here. So I would be in favor of 5%. I mean, I would be in favor of 10%, but I'm probably alone on that. I would go 5%. I'd be happy with that. And then I agree with you as well that I just believe that anything over 5,000 is just a visibility transparency thing with the council. I think anything over 5,000, having that council approval would be welcomed. Not that there's not any trust issues, but I just believe being that member and constituents being able to see the transparency on that and having that accountability, I think that's important. But everything else, I think it's awesome. Great job.
If we, even at the, sorry, another question. If we increase that $5,000 to say $10,000 or $12,000, we would still see that correctly. It wouldn't just come for us approval, but we would see it probably in our budget, or at least it'd be run past.
Oh, all of this is budgeted.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Correct.
You done?
Yes, sir.
I've had the pleasure, and I keep telling everybody this, I've been involved with this purchasing policy since early 80s. We've never changed the $300, and if you remember here a few weeks ago when we were talking about updating our programs and stuff, that Linda brought in a stack of purchasers like that. I think it's ridiculous. I've always thought that. I personally tried to get it changed years ago to $1,000. I think $1,000 on a department head's approval is fine. You know, a lot of the things we do, we budget everything. In fact, the next month or two, we're going to be working on budgets. We budget everything. It's approved. I would like to raise. I would go from 5,000 up to 15,000 to 20,000, whichever. We hire the city manager to oversee all this stuff. I think we give her a certain amount of responsibility. Just because you know, we're going to allow them up to $1,000 to department head to approve a purchase doesn't mean she's not going to look at it. You know, between Sarah and the clerk treasurer's office, I think they've got a pretty good oversight on what our purchasing is. I would like to see, and let me drop back a minute. A lot of things we bid on is by state purchasing. Well, the state already tells you exactly what the cost is going to be, and it doesn't matter if you let this bid out to 10 different companies. What the state says that price is going to be, that's what it is. So I think when we're looking at something through state purchasing, I don't think we need to have sealed bids. I think anything from 5,000 up to 10,000 ought to be by. I think we ought to be able to go out and get competitive pricing, because a lot of times what happens in that $5,000 to $10,000 range, people aren't they don't want to get hooked up doing a sealed bid of any kind, because they've got to do all the paperwork on it. They take time out of their schedule to come in and meet at City Hall. I think so. Anything from 5,000 up to 10,000 ought to be competitive pricing. You know, if I want to buy a whole bunch of gasoline, I'll call around all the dealers and see what the price is. And if it fits into that 5,000 to 10,000, I should be able to approve that. Now, once we do that, and we have in our packet here, every council meeting, usually we have a bunch of expenditures we have to approve. Well, that's because they were already budgeted, now we're spending the money. Like I said, I'd like to see the maximum raised up from $10,000 to $20,000 in that range right there, before you have to have sealed bids. That's just my feeling on it. And that, all we're doing tonight is just talking about what we'd like to see. You know, and the only reason I say what I do is because of the experience I've had at it. And every one of these ideas are great ideas. You know, so you got your work cut out for you, I think. Any other comments?
So it sounds like people would like the local preference with 5% as being the limitation. Sealed bids at, I think I heard more 15,000 than the other numbers. Department heads to have $1,000, and a couple people mentioned leaving the council approval limit at 5,000, but not everybody commented on that, so I didn't know if that was shared by the rest of the council, or if you want to look at that further.
Personally, I'd like to see it at 10,000 before it has to come back to council, because anything we spend is going to be budgeted anyhow. We've already approved this expenditure. So what happens when you go to spend the money, now it comes back to us when we approve it again. You know, I just think that to be totally transparent, you know, all this, we're going to be getting all these figures, you know, every time you buy something that's over $10,000, we're going to see that anyhow. You know, but between 10,000 and 20,000, to me, is where the sealed bid should come in. You know, I have mixed emotions about the 5,000. To me, if you're going to stay at 5,000, it's no different than staying at the $300. But that's just my opinion.
And so we have more than one opinion. I hate to admit it, but I agree with him. $5,000. I mean, $10,000. How many does that increase from what we? It's still transparent. Everything that we spend every penny on is available to the public. It's just easing up on the paperwork. Let's make it easier on us.
That's what we're trying to do.
And you have to trust your department heads. We have to trust you. So I can't see you as going off, you know, some deep end somewhere.
Well, and we have to follow the ordinance.
Right, of course you do.
Right, so even if it's not coming to you to approve, we still have to get the quotes that are required. We still have to do sealed bidding if it's required, and those things still all take place.
But
So
5,000, that seems
it's
really
a
low.
comfort issue for you guys too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're bringing to you everything that's $5,000 and more now, so it's not really a change to continue to do that. But it also makes sense to look at that, given that we're increasing the thresholds for other things, and inflation in this amount of time is such that it's doubled that. So,
so I agree.
We just need to figure it
But
out.
see, what's required right now, though, anything over $5,000 has to be by sealed bid.
Correct.
So I'd like to see
Unless it's waived, which it often
well,
is.
yeah, and anytime we hire somebody to do engineering services or whatever, that's waived. You know, we have the right to pick whoever we want. We have to approve the amount.
Well, it's not even waived for that, because the ordinance says you don't have to do that for professional
Right.
services.
But the what I'm trying to get at, the difference, what I'd like to see between $5,000 and $10,000 is not do sealed bids, do competitive pricing. That would save a lot of time. You know, there's a lot of times we buy chemicals for the sewer plant, and they're $8,000. Well, now all of a sudden, now you got to do a sealed bid, and you know, we use the same companies every year because we know the products that work in our plants. You know, and I would like to see from 5,000 to 10,000 not be by sealed bids, by competitive pricing instead. And they can you still report that to council.
Well, I think that there is consensus on that, on the sealed bid threshold being 15,000.
Right.
What I'm not clear on is when council wants the purchase to be approved here in the city council meeting, as opposed to it being done administratively. So right now, that's $5,000.
Right.
Do you feel comfortable keeping it at 5,000, or would you like
I
to
would rather
raise
see it
it?
at 10,000.
Yes. Agreed. Right, that's what I was saying.
Can I say something?
Sure you can. Who are you?
You're
supposed to be recognized by the chair. I recognize you.
Okay, thank you. And Sarah, do not take any offense to this because you're a great city manager. But in unfortunate circumstances, if Sarah was to leave and we have a new city manager ever, and I think I can recall in the past one time that I was sitting here that someone, a past city manager, spent more money and didn't bring it to council for approval. I just think for transparency and for clarity and for my comfort, I would like to see it anything over 5,000 brought to council.
So I'm fine with that, whatever the level is that you want to have. But if someone violates the ordinance, they violate the ordinance, and I think that's what happened before.
Oh.
This is it was much more than $5,000, and it hadn't been brought. Whether or not there was funds in the budget, I don't know. So maybe it wasn't.
Right.
But you obviously have to follow the rules. So if someone's
Right.
not going to do that, then changing the rules doesn't help.
Right.
I
Yeah,
feel like
I
I
don't
have
have
two
a prob-
people
I
for
don't-
10,000 and two people for 5,000, and no one else has said anything, so I don't know what to put in the draft.
But my big deal is my big deal is I don't want us to have to go out and get sealed bids on anything over 5,000. I want to be able to get competitive
Well,
pricing.
so even if, because you can change the threshold for sealed bids to 15,000 and
Right.
still approve things
Right.
that are 5,000 and
But
over.
see, it's not that way now. That's why we've got to change that.
Correct. Like currently, they're both at 5,000, but
Right.
there's nothing magic about that. You can do it, however. So we would just be bringing in. I mean, a lot of times we don't do sealed bids on 5,000 anyway. We do quotes because
Right.
you can't. Just as a practical matter, you can't do it. So.
Violating your ordinance.
So, well, no, because you can waive it, which you do because you always approve it.
I know. Anyhow, I'd like to see us, my big stumbling block is I think the 5,000 to 10,000 ought to be by competitive pricing. Anything over 15 to 20,000, I'm not sure which, 15 or 20 doesn't really matter. I'd like to see sealed bids there, and if something happens where you got to get a price and it's over $5,000, normally you can get your competitive pricing, bring it to the council the next Monday. No direction yet, huh?
Yes, Mayor. Sarah, so this is for any purchase over 5,000, right? Any purchase
It's
over
for
5,000?
any qualifying purchase. So, in the draft ordinance, it says certain things that are excluded. Specifically like professional services, that's kind of the key one. There's if there is something that's bid by the state of Michigan, like if it's through My Deal or something, what else does it say on there? Scroll up. There's like a list. Oh, there it is. So under 5, so it's not required for that list of things there, under .5. What page is that, Dan? Page 5?
61?
I don't know what page it is in here.
Yeah, federal funds, there we go.
Page 61?
Page 5.
So in those circumstances, it's not required regardless of the dollar amount, and that's because they're more specialized things.
Right, so that's the bidding process. The 5,000 though is for all purchases, irregardless of bidding, correct?
Oh, that has to come to council,
Correct.
as long as it's not an emergency expense.
So that's my concern. The bidding process, I'm okay with.
Yeah, me too.
15,000, but if we're allowing, and again, I trust the people on the council, I trust you guys as well, but ultimately we have to be responsible and we're held accountable to the constituents when it comes to purchases. So if we're gonna allow that expanded to 15,000 and we're just gonna allow everybody to sign off on it without approval from the council saying, hey, those new tennis shoes for everybody at $12,000 is technically a sign off and we didn't have to approve that. That makes me a little uneasy. And I appreciate the 5,000. So,
Sure. So
and again, it has nothing to do with you. I think you guys are fantastic, and would never buy tennis shoes for $12,000. But it's just that accountability measure, and I like being able to have that accountability as a council member at 5,000.
I just want to reiterate that this is all things that are approved in the budget. So if there's something that, even if it's under 5,000, if the budget's already been spent, we still have to bring it to you for approval.
Okay.
So there's always that, there's always that budgetary oversight. I'm fine with keeping the 5,000 if that's what you guys want to do, but that's more than 50% less than what it was in 1994 with inflation.
Right.
So
I would argue that we have to keep with inflation. So if that means raising that amount from 5,000 to 10,000, 15,000, whatever it is, I think we can argue for that by citing inflation.
I feel like a lot of costs, I mean, correct if you feel differently, a lot of the things that come up are 7,000, 8,000, in that range, and we end up having to wait a week or two to bring it to council to do the purchase to get that through. I don't feel like we have a lot of $9,000, $10,000 things. I feel like it's a lot of, it's closer to the 5,000 side, and then we just wait on purchasing things we could otherwise.
Let's get done.
That's just kind of anecdotal.
There's a lot of like repairs that are in between
stuff,
3 to 8,000, seems like, and that would be, some things are emergencies, so we have to repair them. But if we had more freedom, more to get the spending decision quicker.
I feel like there's a disconnect of the sealed bidding process and what's coming to council.
So currently,
everybody's understanding the difference.
Sure. So currently they're the same threshold, and I think that's what may be confusing. Okay. So presently, if we're purchasing something, unless it's on that exclusions list, that's $5,000 or more, the ordinance says it's a sealed bid process unless it's waived. Also, if something's $5,000 or more, it comes to the city council for approval before it's purchased. So we've been talking about changing the sealed bid threshold to $15,000 or more. But that doesn't necessarily change or directly relate to what comes to you guys for approval. It could be still 5,000, it could be 10,000, it could be more than the 15,000, it could be 20, whatever. Right. I don't think that's the direction you want to go. I'm just saying there's not really a correlation there naturally, unless you only want to see things that you think should go out for sealed bid. And you want to oversee that process and make sure that it was carried out in a way that you want. It can go together, but it doesn't have to.
Okay. I have no problem with increasing the purchases to $10,000. I want to throw one other thing in the mix, though. We gave you permission for emergency spending. What was the limit on that?
I don't think there is a limit. It's just when it happens, then it has to be reported. Okay, and what I appreciate about this draft too is that it's a little clearer how it's reported.
Right.
And that it's in the council meeting session and there's a written report about it. In the previous copy, it was just tell council, and it wasn't very clear. So this is spelled out a little bit more.
Technically, you could say, well, this is an emergency. We need to purchase this and do it because there's no limit on that anyway. But I know you won't do that. That's not what I'm saying. But increasing to this to $10,000 is in today's inflation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry our inflation has gotten that point, but that's the way it should be, is we need to keep up with that too.
Well, it's been 30 years too, so it's a long time coming.
A lot of things have been 30 years.
So I'm wondering if we should just drop the ordinance with what we discussed, but maybe leave the amount to council blank at this time. You guys can have more time to think about it, and then maybe at the first reading specify, cause I'm hearing both
Yeah.
things, and
Not
I wanna
anything
make
we're
sure
gonna
that you
approve
guys are
tonight anyhow.
comfortable
Right,
with
right.
whatever it is, so we don't have to decide right now anyway. Everything else, seems like there's more consensus on, so we can just put that, in the draft, and then you guys can have more time to think about it, and we'll pick something from there. Great. Thank you.
Staff presentations and policy discussions, we have, well, we did the purchasing ordinance, so that's done. Item 12, city manager report.
Well, I'm sad to announce to everyone that this is DPS Director Tate's last council meeting with us. He's taking a position elsewhere, so his last day with the city will be February 7th. So I certainly appreciate all the work and dedication that he's had here with the city. It wasn't that long ago, we were just talking about all the great changes that have happened within the DPS department in the past 4 years since he's been here. And we appreciate very much the time and effort that you've put into improving our department, so thank you very much for that. We are looking for a new public services director, so I'm accepting applications through February 16th to do a first review. We'll continue accepting applications until the position is filled. So if you know anyone who's interested, or if you're on Facebook or LinkedIn and just want to share the link or share with people who are in the field and may know people, we'd appreciate that. What I got.
That's it. Okay, also in your packet, under city manager report, you have Chief Dale Boulder's monthly and annual report. You have anything to add, Dale? Probably not.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I almost forgot.
Yeah. Happens, you got a pretty
I'm
sick
glad
man.
everyone could make it tonight. I'm glad I'm not the only one here. I figured just extend your time a little bit more, seeing I'm here also. But
Yeah.
no, I'm actually just kidding. Really, what I wanted to let you know is today I got word that we received, we were accepted for the grant for Mr. Shinaki, Devin. And actually, he was supposed to start the academy, but you know, who knew that, you know, schools I know are canceled for cold weather, but colleges, really? So I think he was actually 2 days late starting, but he has started now, and we did receive word though that we got the $20,000. We haven't got it yet, but Linda will probably be receiving it shortly. So also the meeting today out at Dispatch for the board meeting. You know, just it's kind of weird. It's kind of hard to get back to you guys because my report's due really this prior to our board meeting out there. But the tower's up and rolling. I've already made that announcement. The reception has been amazing for my guys. I don't really know about the county guys, obviously, but really with that tower in our backyard, our guys have been. It's probably not 100%, but it's been awesome. There was a small issue with the Hastings Tower, and the issue was with Consumers Energy. The bill was rather high. They found, somebody out there found that the HVAC system was operating to warm it up, and then the air conditioner was kicking on to cool it back down. So Stephanie is definitely on top of that. But everything else though is working great. So again, you know, the safety of our first responders, the fact that they can communicate, the fact that if any of us call 911, our citizens, they can get out there as quickly as possible, and they can use communication, you know, to make sure that you know, all of our people are safe, and plus them, obviously. So, again, Travis, it's been a pleasure working with you. Wish you the best on where you're going there, and so it's always a pleasure working with his team, and our team work together quite often, actually. But anyway, that's all I have. So, if anyone has any questions based on my 2 reports.
Any questions of Dale?
Thank you.
Last chance, so. Also in your packet, you have the clerk treasurer, Linda Perrin's, monthly financial report. Anything to add, Linda?
Not at this time.
Any questions of Linda? Okay, also in your packet, item C, Community Development Director Dan King's monthly and annual report. That's some good reading if you hadn't had a chance to read it yet. Anything to add, Dan?
Unless there's questions, I have nothing else to add.
Any questions, Dan? What's the next big thing happening in the city?
Next big thing?
Huh.
Well, there's quite a few things.
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, you're talking, yeah. Yes. The Jefferson Street, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Parade.
Okay, no questions of Dan. Reports and communications. In your packet, you have item A, the draft EDA meeting minutes of January 16th, 2025. Entertain a motion to accept and place that item on file.
I'll make that motion. Your Honor.
Support.
Okay, motion by Rezegi, supported by McLean, to accept draft DDA meeting minutes of January 16th, 2025, and place on file. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same. Public comment. Anybody else out there want to speak from the public? Tell us who you are, and I'll give you 3 minutes.
Charles Hertzler, live in the city of Hastings. First of all, I would like to thank the board for considering me for this position that I had people vote for me for, 266 votes in the election, but obviously that didn't matter. Thank you, Mr. Barlow, and thank you, Mr. Rocha, for voting for me. I appreciate that. I do have a certain question I would like to ask, though. I was watching Ann when she was doing the thing, and she had all of her answers all written out as if she had the questions given to her before the meeting. I mean, I watched, she went right down the list, she answered every, was she given that information before the meeting? And if so, why wasn't I allowed to have it?
We'll answer that direct this public comment.
Okay? Another than that, again, I thank you all for the consideration, and if Mr. Barlow doesn't run in 2 years, I'll try for his position. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Anybody else? Okay, moving right along, mayor and council comment. Now, well, let me let Linda answer that question first. We're not in public comment anymore, but,
Charles, can you see me okay?
Yes.
Over here. Did you receive an email from me today?
Today? I don't
Yes.
know, I haven't checked my emails today.
You were all, we originally had 3 candidates for the seat.
Right, and you made a special, this.
All
because
3
the other guy
candidates.
was not gonna be able, when it was supposed to be done the first time.
All 3 candidates were emailed the list of questions on the same day. I have proof in my sent email that
Right.
you were emailed those questions.
So it's today.
No, it was the Monday after January 3rd. What was that, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, January 6th?
Well, then I never saw it.
It was emailed to you.
Okay.
So you received it, Ann received it, and Bill Manson all received the questions ahead of time.
Okay. I did not see it. I did not see it.
Well, I also sent you an unrelated email today, different topic, so if you could confirm that you received the email I sent today, that way I know my email is talking with your email.
Okay, I'll check.
So, and you may need to look in your spam if you don't see it in your inbox. But all
Actually,
candidates were sent the questions ahead of
something-
time.
Something to mail would have been better, because I don't check my email every day. So it'd have been nice to get some kind of confirmation other than email.
Duly noted. Thank you.
okay. Any comments tonight, Bill?
No, sir, I'm all set.
Jerry?
Comment it out, sir.
No, sir.
Gordon?
No, thank you.
I want to congratulate Ann, and I'm pretty sure that you know, either candidate, I think you both would do a great job. And I might have some words for you, Charles. Any comments tonight?
No,
Jackie?
no, sir.
John, Rezegi?
I'd like to say that it was a tough decision. Both candidates were well informative, and both deserved the job. It was really a tough decision to make.
John?
No comment from me, sir.
Okay, entertain a motion, to go into closed session, at the conclusion of the regular business meeting permitted by Public Act 267 of 1976, Section 15.268-8 or parentheses H, to consider material exempt for disclosure by state and federal statute to receive privileged attorney-client communication. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
Motion by McLean, supported by Brem.
Need a roll call?
Yep. Roll call.
Barlow,
Yes.
Brem,
Yes.
McLean,
Yes.
Nesbit,
Yes.
Rezegi,
Yes.
Rocha,
Yes.
Stenzelbarton,
Yes.
Tassava.
Yes. We're adjourned.
Is 7th your last day?
Yes.
Well, I'll be seeing you around 4.